Hello and welcome to Nanapod, a podcast dedicated to the fantastic manga written by Ai Yazawa. I'm Crystal, and I'm joined by my best girl Kirsten as we dissect this manga, discussing everything from the emotions, the cultural impact, as well as any headcanons that might be floating around in our brains. With this podcast, we hope to preserve a shoujo staple that sadly hasn't been talked about in a very long time. So come with us. We're waiting for you in apartment 707.
We're recording.
Oh, God.
So we got that sorted. And then, okay, so I do like the format of the chapter reactions, and it's essentially story retelling.
Right.
And I did enjoy that. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Good. Because it's nice for the folks to have a visual.
Right. Oh, Craig has a video box too. Hi, Craig. It's not creepy at all.
Right.
So, and then today I was looking for, I sold all of my Ai Yazawa stuff aside from one art book when I moved. So, I sold everything. I sold everything.
No.
I mean, I kept anything that would fit in a truck bed is what we kept.
Right.
That's fine. So today I was looking to see if I can get away with finding scans.
Yeah.
And they might drive me nuts, so I might not stick with them.
Mm-hmm. Fair.
Because there's a lot of ads. Okay. Text channel. So I want to make one, if that's okay. That's Ai Yazawa. Works and history. I can just be dumping stuff in there.
Oh, okay. Are you putting that like in the chat or is that somewhere else?
I made a channel.
Oh, okay.
So we have text channels up here, right? And so you can actually add new groups and you can rename this too. Can we screen share? Yes, we can. Okay, I'm gonna screen share. So you should be able to see my screen now, right?
No. Unless, do I have to click on watch stream?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay.
Aha.
Yes.
Yeah.
So up here, so we have like these text channels here, right?
Yeah.
So we have Nana Talk, which is just like our general one that we're using right now, right? That's the main one. And that's one that like it just comes with it, right? So I just added another one that is Ai Yazawa Works and History.
Okay.
And so then we can also go up here and you can create a category, which is how I like to do it.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to put chapters in here.
Ooh.
Right? And so then create that. And I'm going to move it to the top because that just makes sense in my brain personally.
That's fine.
And then we can do like chapter 1.
Yes.
And then create channel. And so now we can start adding in our notes for chapter 1.
Okay, because I have a few like random notes because I read chapter 1 over the last couple days. It's so long. I didn't realize how long the chapters actually were.
Oh yeah, they're very long because they were in they weren't published in book form, they were published in magazine form.
Right. Wasn't it? It was Cookie, right?
It was Cookie and then it was Zipper, both.
Right.
And then in the States, it was Shoujo Beat,
Mm-hmm.
which is where I got introduced to it. And I can't, let me see what year that was. I can't remember. It was 2003 or 2004, maybe 2004, 2005.
For
2004, 2005.
For
Yeah.
Shoujo Beat.
Yeah.
Uh, so I actually have a uh one of the old shoujo beats. My friend Kitten actually had it, and it just had a whole bunch of like Nana was in there, and then
It
Crimson
was
was.
2005, June 2005. I had all of them. This is part of what I sold too.
Oh,
Um,
dang.
yeah, yeah, I had all of them. I bought them from when they started coming out, because we had friends in Japan who started bringing me Nana from Japan in those magazines.
Oh, that's so cool.
Before Shoujo Beat was released, and then I saw Shoujo Beat in the stores, and I was like, "Oh, holy shit! I don't have to translate this."
Did you actually like translate it? How did you do that?
Huh?
How did you translate it?
Translating book. I went through each letter.
Oh my God, what? What is wrong? What?
No, seriously, I went through like each letter and I would go through it, and then Shoujo Beat stopped.
Yeah.
Um, and I guess I could stop share. I don't have to keep sharing the screen now.
I guess.
Um, I guess whatever.
It's whatever. Yeah, we're figuring it out. Woo!
Um, but yeah, so
Oh
it
shit.
stopped, and but by that time, Nathan was already torrenting everything for me because he started reading it.
Uh-huh.
And so once he started reading it, he's like, "Oh, there's more." And I'm like, "What do you mean?
What do you
There's
mean there's more?
more?" And so he ended up finding like all of her works.
Wow.
And this was like the golden era because like you could torrent stuff. And so like I can't remember what day of the week. I remember that like with Naruto, we used to get fresh translations on Thursdays.
Right.
Because that magazine would come out on Wednesdays. And I can't remember what day of the week Nana came out, but we would get it like the next morning. We would start torrenting it because people would translate them like that night
Oh my goodness.
and then release them the next day. So obviously, like these translations, though, they would replace the words in the cells,
Hmm.
and so they weren't always the best, but it didn't matter, because like we would just be so excited. And this is still dial-up internet days. So like these torrents would take so fucking long, like so long to get. Um, but we had like our little list because like
Yeah.
we would get Nana, um we would get Naruto, and we would get Bleach every week for sure.
Oh my God. Naruto. Dang.
Um, and yeah, like that was a thing. And like also what's really interesting though is they go on vacation in Japan, so they stop releasing those comics. And so the US started making filler.
Oh, of course.
And so then the filler content doesn't really line up correctly.
No, I mean, we had the same thing for like Sailor Moon because she was still in the
Hmm.
process of writing, and we got the
Hmm.
Saga, which I like the Doomtree Saga. Everyone else can fight me.
But yeah, there's like, so much of it was like, oh, you know, they're taking time off, and capitalism is capitalism. And so it's like, here's some filler, and it might not match. But they didn't, I don't think that they did that with Nana. They didn't really have to. Um, and then, that's how we found all of her other works too, because there's quite a lot. She did a lot.
Yeah, I don't know all of it. I'm sure you probably know more so than I do, but I've seen a few here and there, and of course with the exhibit that was happening a couple months ago, kind of got to see way more than I initially knew about.
Right.
So that's really cool. I just I can't believe you got rid of all of your. Did you really get rid of all of your Nana? Like you don't.
Yeah, I sold
Oh no.
everything. And like I had all of them in three different languages.
Oh my goodness. Wait, what was the third
Um,
language?
I had French, Spanish, and English.
Oh my goodness.
Well, because like finding the Japanese is a lot easier
Yes.
than it is like say to find, the other two.
Mm.
Um, and so it, yeah. And then all my shoujo beats, also all my parakiss. Um, But I kept my DVD box sets. And those are because they can't be replaced and they're like hundreds of dollars now.
Yeah, I know. I've noticed.
Like
Um,
it's wild.
yeah, I actually took mine from YouTube. I don't know if they have the episodes up anymore, but that's the only way I have the Nana anime is because of YouTube. But like YouTube in 2012.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that they were up. I'm trying to remember. They were streaming, I think, on like Hulu or something a few years ago. Well, because they also had Chobits, which I was like, what?
Yeah, I know that
Excuse
Nana.
me?
Yes, Nana was on Netflix around like 2000 like 14 something like that. I know we were living with our friends in Tacoma, and I started watching one of the episodes, and I was trying to get, my friend to watch it with me, but he just couldn't stand Hachi. So we never made it past the first episode. He was like, "She's terrible. Why did they it off with her story?" And I was like, "Don't say things
He's
about
not
Hachiko."
terrible, okay? You just don't understand the plight of the patriarchy. Shut up and sit down, man. Like, start taking notes.
I was just like, "No, no, I promise. It's like she's actually very sweet and loving and wonderful." And he's like, "She's kind of a buzzkill and really annoying." And I was like,
I
"Okay."
mean, like, it's kind of fair in its own right within her character. They're complete opposites, and that is by design and intention.
Right.
Um, and like with Hachiko, it's very much like she's she dreams of being like the ideal woman.
Right.
Um, within the context of like the housewife.
Right.
And within the context of fairy tales,
Mm-hmm.
um, and patriarchy, right? Like she's that image, but she's also like it's more than that because she is genuinely kind. And maybe she
Yes.
doesn't understand everything, but that's also because she grew up in the country.
Right.
She's not from the city. She doesn't understand those nuances. And there's also those cultural differences that I think that Ai Yazawa really paints a picture throughout all of her series is of these are things that they're relatable to everybody.
Yes.
If if you give it the opportunity, you fall into each character and each character has a humanness to it that is relatable. I also don't think though that you can watch the anime without reading the manga. I really don't.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and maybe that's because I'm partial, but all of Ayazawa's works, you fall into the story. Like
Yes.
with Quarter Moon, it's very much like they're children. I
Mm-hmm.
think they're in like third or fourth grade. Like the
Mm-hmm.
main characters, and like the main character, I believe she's like a teenage girl. I haven't read it in like a decade, so forgive me if I'm getting this wrong a little bit. But with
That's
those
okay.
children, like you literally fall like they are so relatable, and it's like how are these children so relatable
Mm-hmm.
emotionally? And that's how all of her characters are experienced. It's
Mm-hmm.
emotional relatability.
Yeah, no, I agree because um I try so hard to explain specifically this manga to other people, just being like, you don't understand. Like, you will find something in there that is either you've lived it or you had a friend like that or something, and everyone's just like, oh, yeah, I guess, whatever. And I'm like, no, please read it. You don't understand.
Right? Well, that's the thing. And like I've even said that to people who like aren't even interested. And I'm like, no, you don't understand though. Like, sure, you want to scoff at it because it's manga. Especially like before manga really got popular, right?
Right.
And it was like because like even when I was working at the bookstore when we met, manga was not popular,
No, no, not in the
right?
sense. Yeah, not like now. If you go into Barnes and Noble, it's like three shelves.
Right. Yeah, a lot, and I remember explaining to people, no, just read this. Like
Mm-hmm.
And they would just kind of scoff at it, like, because it's like cartoons, it's Japanime, blah blah blah, right? And
Right.
it's like, no, she's a storyteller.
Yes.
Like, she's actually a storyteller, and she's also a talented artist, and she's also, she's talented at all of these various different things, at fashion, at imagery, at all of this stuff. And I will honestly say, when I was first introduced to Nana, I hated the art style. Like,
Really?
yeah, I was not a fan of that particular style of like face structure and eyes and things of that nature. And I fell in love with it because of that, like,
Mm.
because of the storytelling. That was
Yeah.
not my particular, imagery that I was attracted to.
Yeah, no, I get that because again, the first time I saw it was, God, what were we? Kitten and I were in sixth grade,
Mhm.
and she had a shoujo beat randomly. I don't know where she got it. It was probably from her cousin,
Mhm.
and we were on the floor of her bedroom, and I'm just looking through this thing, and I think Cardcaptor Sakura might have also been in there, which I'm like, yay, more magical girls. That seems cool. And then yeah, came across Nana and was very struck by how different that art style was, but didn't quite know how I felt about it either.
Right.
So I get that. I get the whole, oh no. And now it's like one of the most important um, art styles that lives inside my brain, rent free.
Right. Right. Absolutely. And you know, that art style is also like an evolution for her, right? Because let's see, I pulled it up, and Nana was her second to last working, and she started creating in 1985.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, so she has quite the collection under her belt.
Mhm.
And obviously Nana is still on hiatus.
Yeah.
Um, I've been trying to like, well, because like also while Nana was going on, she did Princess Ai, which is and I owned everything that's been published. So I did own that because that came out in the mid 2000s. But that was actually an Avril Lavigne manga. Yeah, and she did the art for it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which like I saw that when I first saw it because I was working at the bookstore at that time, and when I first saw it, I was like, "Excuse me, what the fuck is going on here?" And I was like, "But it's Ai Yazawa, so I have to buy it and I have to read it." And like like it's a requirement.
Wait, oh, that makes the Hello Kitty song that
Right. Yeah, because that was mid 2000s.
yeah, it was. Okay, that's a weird tie-in.
Right. Well, like also like I would say the mid 2000s going into the 10s is when we did really start to see like an anime resurgence. Because like at that point in time there were also ball jointed dolls in music videos, doll themed things. We also had Gwen Stefani doing her little thing with Harajuku girls. You know what I mean? Like that was a time in
Yeah,
the States where like that culture, some people say it's appropriation, some people say that it's not. I don't really want to get into that particular debate.
right.
But not today, Satan. But that was that time period though.
Yeah, no, for sure. See, it was really weird being in that like time leading up to the tens because I was in college and for me everything was still all about Sailor Moon. And when you're in university, I don't know if you've ever felt this way, but you just sort of feel like you're adrift on an island and all the cultural stuff is just it's fallen by the wayside and you don't pick it up again until you're out.
Like you're so hyper focused on what you're doing that is just like not in your sphere.
Yeah, I mean that's all I remember. And plus, the person that I was dating at the time was, a huge geek and all this other stuff. So all I really knew was zero punctuation and 4chan.
Oh, yeah. Oh, the heyday of 4chan, later
Yes.
8chan, like
Yeah.
early radicalization on the internet at its finest.
Yes. Oh, what a time.
But yeah, and I haven't spent much time on the Ai Yazawa servers
Mm-hmm.
lately. It's probably been about a year. I know that, which we kind of talked about the other day, there was a Junko's Corner that was released in Zipper a few years ago,
Yeah.
that like kind of gave us like a weird hope.
Right.
Because like I don't want to like spoil the ending for those who don't know, but like the cliffhanger is so fucking brutal that like I'm still emotionally scarred.
I mean, same. I mean, we'll get to that because obviously we're going to be going through it, so people will eventually find out. But
Exactly. Yeah, but I'm
yes.
still emotionally scarred. And like when I was
Uh,
talking to Nathan about it the other day, and we were just like, because every couple of months it comes up.
really?
Oh
And
yeah, where we end up just going back to it, and it's like, yeah, like it's like this moment of silence, like, and then we start to theorize. Like Nathan doesn't think that it's ever gonna like get finished.
I mean, so I heard, I don't know if I want to like, I guess it isn't a super spoiler, but I heard a wild, I guess I'll say rumor a couple years ago about the reason why it's not going to get finished. And I ran this rumor by my friend Brian because he is half Chinese. So I'm like, you understand how certain things work in these particular countries as opposed to myself. So someone had written that the reason that Ai Yazawa is was told to stop writing, essentially was told to stop writing, not because of a health reason, but because she was depicting the Japanese in an unfavorable light.
Interesting.
And they were like, she's never going to come back to it. She was paid off. We're never going to see the end of Nana. And I was like, hey, Brian, how true is this? And he goes, I mean, stranger things have happened. So I could see there being some validity to that rumor.
Right.
Because I was like, it was a really popular manga. He's like, yeah, they don't usually just stop, you know,
Right. Like,
that.
yeah, I mean, I don't have, I guess, such a tinfoil hat theory on it.
That's fair.
Um, like, my theory is because of the illness aspect of it, right?
Hmm.
And um, she did provide artwork in 2017.
Right.
And then um, I just looked it up, and there was a mini Gokenjo in 2016 and the Nana calendar in 2015. You know, like, and then it's even saying that, like, in 2020, it says celebratory illustration from the Space Channel 5 VR, which I need to find,
Hey.
apparently. Um, I'm like, oh, hey, I need to see that. But because of the themes within some of her stories specifically, I personally theorized that there is drug affiliation or association, and I don't like to say that about anybody,
Right.
right? I don't like to say anything that isn't factual. I have a really, really hard time, yay, autism, but I have a really, really hard
Mhm.
time, being like, oh, whatever, blah, blah, blah,
Mhm.
let's fill in all of these blanks. And it's like, well, she's sick.
Right.
That's all we know. And so we can come up with wild theories, and there's a lot of them in the forums, a lot of them. Um,
I mean, I'll bet I
there's
mean,
so many. um, but an illness that would make it so that you can't create anymore, right?
yeah.
And drugs can do that. And it's not just in Nana that is a part of it. It is also in Quarter Moon.
Yeah.
Um, And like when I was talking to Nathan about it the other day, and I was telling him specifically about that theory, and he goes, foreshadowing is a thing.
Right.
And, sometimes people foreshadow their lives.
Right.
Um, and that would be disheartening if that is
Mhm.
the case, but we don't know, right? Honestly,
No.
at this point in the game, we don't even know if she's still alive, to be frank.
Yeah, that's actually very, very true. Um, which would be so sad.
Right.
Like,
Right.
no.
But who
Uh,
knows? She could make like a miraculous recovery, right? Um,
yeah.
like we don't know. She could have lost her mind. We don't know.
We don't. I mean, we don't. That's one of the reasons why I guess what was it? I think it was Travis. He sent me something the other day about it was a whole ass video on manga creators, like the top 5 or whatever, that had to put a hiatus on their very popular series due to X reasons. And Ai Yazawa is the only one on there who's the most vague.
Right. Well, it looks like I just Googled it. Well, like the creator of Berserk, I mean, he was literally in the hospital still drawing and teaching his predecessors.
Right.
Like in a hospital bed.
Right.
And I don't know if you know how he creates his work, but each of those cells are actually like giant pieces of paper, and he pen draws each one.
Oh, good Lord,
That's how
sir.
they're so detailed, right? So like he was literally though in a hospital bed teaching his apprentices in a
Mm,
hospital room, right?
mm,
So it's like, but that's also like the strength of different people
right.
and what those things are. So I just Googled it. I found, this is on comicbook.com.
Hmm.
The title is Nana Creator Addresses the Series' Ongoing Hiatus.
Uh-huh.
And this came out in July 26th, 2020.
Okay.
Bum, bum, bum.
All right.
Like, it was like just a couple of months ago, right?
Yeah.
Um, and so let me just skim this really quick because I don't think we just want to read it.
Right.
Um, and let's see. Let's see. These days, this year was on hiatus. Yazawa stopped working on the title years ago, and they just addressed the break in a recent interview. The confession comes shortly after Yazawa attended an art exhibition dedicated to Nana overseas. So she was there. Remember how we were like, I wonder if she was there? She was
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. I was just like, I
Um,
hope so.
let's see. It was there that the artist addressed the manga's hiatus, and she said she really hopes she'll be able to work again soon.
Hmm.
According to interview excerpts reported online, Yazawa stressed that they want to draw again, even if the story comes together little by little. I'm getting shivers. It's so funny because when I was talking to Nathan about this the other day, I was like, we're overdue for like a resurgence of this, and it's been almost 20 years. And so that's like a particular astrological, like the cycling. I'm like looking at the
Right.
astrology. I'm like, okay, what's going on in her life? Like,
Right.
you know,
I mean, yeah, that's what Nate told me when I was like, honey, look, Parakiss has an omnibus 20 years. So, I mean, and he's like, I mean, that should mean that Nana's not too far behind. And I'm like, I
right? But like that's also not the completion of the story, right? That's the anniversary. And so I was like, oh, what's a zodiacal releasing is she in? Blah blah blah. Like, is she gonna get better? Like, what's the medical astrology? Where are we at in this? Because of course I have her chart, you know?
Oh, right. I mean, of course. Of course.
So she stresses she wants to get back to work. Let's see. They were able to regain some of their physical strength in preparation for the Nana exhibit. So they are sick.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so the goal is to continue their conditioning. And if their health allows, someday they will resume work on Nana at their own pace. For those
Mm-hmm.
unfamiliar with Nana and the extended hiatus, the series went on a break in 2009. The series has yet to come back. It has been 13 years since the series was updated. But in time, Yazawa has focused entirely on their health. The hiatus was prompted by an unnamed illness, after all, so Yazawa's health became paramount. So she has an illness that they don't know what it is.
Oof.
So after being released from the hospital in 2010, the artist admitted they may never be able to work as a mangaka again. And that is still the case even after all of this time.
Hmm. Makes me wonder what the I'm like, what's the illness? Because I'm like trying
But if
looking
it
up.
doesn't have a name, we don't know because they don't know.
Right. I'm like, wait, but what? But I'm like trying to go through all the things that might like be. I'm like, you could have things going on in your hands that are super crazy. You could have like blackout spells randomly.
I mean, if it's autoimmune related at all,
Yeah.
right, then that's whole body. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and it says that they're going through conditioning and they've been going through conditioning for 13 years. So, like, that's big.
Yeah.
Like, that's a obviously it has to be like a full body or a muscle, situation. And if they had to gain their strength just to go to the exhibition in honor of them,
Mm-hmm.
and that they still made that commitment to go though.
Right. There's all my stuff. Ah.
Right? Like I still love this,
Right. Which is that's so cool to see.
right? And
Uh,
like now I need to find like video clippings or like something I need to know.
yeah. I mean, I know that oh goodness. There is someone on uh Instagram. It's not her, but they're using her name and there's shots of the exhibit on that particular
Mm-hmm. Account.
account. Yeah, I'd have to find it and I'd have to drop it in the Discord here to be like, it's this
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I want to see it. And I don't spend enough time on social media. I've just been playing Dreamlight Valley. So
I mean, it's honestly healthier not to spend that much time on,
yeah, yeah, definitely.
the internet
No, for sure.
as
Um,
as I do.
but yeah, I mean like they've still been like publishing her works and stuff. And you can find merch again, but it's probably all like copyright pirated because you can find posters and things
Mhm.
on what website is that? Now I can't. Oh, on like AliExpress, they have stuff, and I was really shocked because like the thing is also though with like finding merch, it was so hard.
Oh, yeah.
It's so hard, and like the real stuff is so expensive.
Yeah. That's facts. I mean, even the what is it? Westwood.
Mm.
All the Westwood things,
Right.
of
Oh,
which I bought a necklace years ago that was affordable.
right. Yeah, I mean like I've had merch over the years.
Right.
Um, but it's always been fan made. And like it was from like Etsy when Etsy was still cool and not drop shippers.
Right. Oh, is that what that's called? I was trying to explain that to my neighbor the other day. I'm like, she's like, "Do you have an Etsy thing?" I'm like, "No, not anymore because uh cheap things are happening now."
Yeah, it's drop shipping. It's all drop
Ugh,
shipping.
boo.
And all they're doing, it's the same thing that Amazon does, and they're the same products. All they're doing is actually buying it off of Alibaba or AliExpress, depending on. And they have it shipped directly from them, so they don't even touch the product. So like
Oh.
you can go and find that stuff for its actual price.
Mm. Mm-mm.
Um, which, it's like that's what it is. Um,
Right? This is what it is.
it's what it is. It's what it is, and it's so hard like to sift through actual makers anymore.
Yeah, no, I
Um,
agree.
but I remember I paid like $15 for a Nana patch. I still have it
Yeah.
that I used for literally years.
Mhm.
Um, it was a handmade patch. Oh, also on TikTok, if I can remember who the creator is, there's somebody who does manga cross stitching, and they've done some
Oh.
Nana cross stitches. And I'm like, and you know me, I'm like, oh, I know how to cross stitch. Like, I know how to embroider. Like, I should just do that for myself.
Right.
Like, not to sell it, just for myself.
Right.
Like, why buy it when I
Yes.
can make it?
That was another one too. Oh dang, let me see if I can find her. One of my nieces the other day had posted the this other person on Instagram who does these fantastic pins. And I went to look at their stuff and I was like, "Oh my God, they have Nana pins." And I just freaked out. I need to
Right.
find it. and link it.
Yeah, I mean, that's also part of the reason, though, that I think that there's going to be a resurgence within this, but also we had like a Jinji Ito resurgence, like really strangely, um, and I wasn't expecting that per se. I just started seeing like his art on like t-shirts and stuff that kids were wearing, and I was like, huh, they know what the fuck that is? Like,
That is the
I mean,
question.
I know, but they didn't, and I think that they do now. I think that it was like this combination of things, and it ended up being that like there was this younger person who worked in the office that I was working in, and he walked in wearing a t-shirt, and I was like, oh shit, like I love that manga, and he's like, what? It's a manga? And I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, so they don't know, and so I was like, yes, let me introduce you, like I will let you borrow.
Yeah. Oh, it's always kind of frustrating when they don't.
No, like I loved it. I was like, yeah, you know nothing about horror. Here we go.
Oh, yeah. Have you read the Omi?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and like Tommy was like the big claim to fame, I think, for a while. Because they did make live action movies also, a whole collection of them. Um,
Okay.
and yeah, I used to own them. Um, and like I also own Uzumaki, I think is what it's called. I think I'm butchering that. That's about a spiral city, and they made a live action movie of that as well.
Oh my
Um,
goodness.
and I think I still own that. I would have to check. Um, I kept a very small selection
That's
of
understandable.
things where I was like, no, I love this. Like I need this. This is like one of my favorite things. I'll make room for you, I promise. I'll never let you go.
Right.
Um
Don't let me go.
like I had to when I moved, I sold too much, so I ended up having to buy a lot of stuff back,
Yeah.
essentially, like rebuy.
Hmm.
Um but like I probably have a proper size bookcase of books.
Nice.
But most of what I ended up having to rebuy are like, you know, magical tables, like
Hmm.
reference. And then as far as like fiction and manga goes now, I'm just buying digital copies. Like
Yeah.
they're just for me to read. You know what I mean? Like, and I
Yeah.
don't want to have to move them all again because I had so many. And like I just had, I had so many books. I worked in books for so long. I had so many books.
That's true. Oh, but it's so good. Did you end up selling your how to make ball jointed doll book?
No, I have those still because those were very expensive.
I actually ended up buying one of them because I was like, I want that one too because it's so fucking cool. So,
Yeah, I have both of them by that artist.
yeah.
And it's so weird. Like I don't like the photography because like it's very like kid toucher-esque.
What?
Um
Well, like I get you, I think. It's because
and
everything is,
but
yeah.
like it's also about like it's literally making an anatomically correct doll for a shrine. So like it's like, where's the line here? Um
Yeah, that's a
But
great
yeah, I
question.
have I have both of them, but I have the Japanese versions, and you can actually get the English PDFs for free online.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
Oh man, I need those because I'm like, well, it's in Japanese and there's pictures, and I think I can follow the pictures.
Yeah, I actually printed them out and bound them.
Oh, yes.
So like because like I ordered them and I didn't really think about if they were translated or not.
Mm-hmm.
I just saw them and bought them. And then I was like, I don't know what they're using. Like I don't know what materials they are. I don't know what
Right.
I need to get. And so then I looked it up online and they do have like full English translations for free.
Oh, I should
Um,
look that up.
and that was like many, many years ago. So the internet was different, but I would try like archive.org.
Oh, yeah, just like Wayback Machine it essentially.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's understandable. Because, yeah,
It's the golden days of getting free shit online.
it was. That's kind of what I'm doing right now on my Sailor Moon blog. Is I actually went and found like this one fan fiction that I thought was lost forever, and it just hurt me so bad because it was so fucking good. It was a Sailor Moon Dragon Ball Z crossover, and
Oh, fun.
it was so
Because
good.
Sailor Moon would kick all their asses.
Oh, that's the funny part too, because it was written in like 1999, we don't have like the breadth of like, sitting and actually thinking about how fucking powerful Usagi is. So it was written during the time where I'm fairly certain the person that was writing it, if they were gender, I guess doesn't matter, but it's just like they were in that headspace of like, well, boys are stronger, therefore beat Sailor Scouts, you know?
Right, but that's totally not it. And like the irony and what's
No.
really uncanny is someone just made a TikTok the other day
Yeah.
about how Usagi would like literally annihilate everyone.
I mean, that's super true. I found a guy on YouTube who was having a full-on discussion about it, and it was so wholesome. He was like, "Look, guys, Sailor Moon is a god, so don't at me with your Goku bullshit."
It probably was the same dude. It probably was this we probably saw the same dude.
Oh, it was so good. Even though I'm always like, well, she's not gonna actually fight Goku because her and Goku would just like eat rice together and be best friends.
Right, right, exactly. But like at the same time, like, you know, she's not
Yeah.
gonna lose. She's not gonna lose.
No, she's not
Like,
gonna lose. I mean, I had a friend, I think it was my friend Onyx. He was like, Vegeta would try to fight her, though. I'm like, oh yeah, and he would lose. And I love Vegeta, but he would fucking lose. So,
right.
yeah.
Um, let
No,
me
but
see.
I found it.
Okay.
I found that one and I was so excited and I reread it. I'm like, oh no, this is still good. It still holds up. It needs some editing though, because we all know that Usagi would not be weaker than Vegeta. So let's just sidestep that thought right now.
I mean, fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, now I'm like sitting here because like honestly, I don't really think super I'm going through like a weird nostalgic phase right now.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, like with Nana, and also like I started listening to music. Okay, that sounds really weird.
Is it though? I mean, music, yeah.
I mean, I kind of like, well, I stopped listening to like music that I know and music with words like
Mm.
in 2018.
Oh,
And I
okay.
suddenly started doing that where I'm listening to like music from when I was young that's like super nostalgic and gives me all the feels
Mm-hmm.
and like feelings I've been trying to avoid.
Oh
Um,
no.
oh yeah, and I'm just like an emotional mess and I'm like, "Oh, the eclipse is coming. Oh fuck." And then I'm like, "Ah, like what cycles am I going through?" You know what I mean? Like I'm just like, "Why am I being
Mm-hmm.
so nostalgic?" And like trying to like bring back in um someone who I guess held emotions differently. And so like this Nana journey is also going to be like kind of a part of that for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean,
Um
also, I'm just gonna tell, for like saving this as like, episode 0 for this, I'm just gonna tell the listeners right now, I'm probably gonna cry at some point.
there's going to be crying.
Like, yeah, like there's gonna be tears at probably spots that don't make any sense to start crying.
Right? No, but like for real, for real. But that's also like that's the foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Like, and anybody who has read it already knows.
Yeah, they already know.
They
Like,
already know.
yeah, they do.
It's already there. Like, and it's yeah, it's already there. You know if you know. The
You
girlies
know,
who get it.
yeah, they get it. And that's the other thing too is I know you are one of these people. I think Tessa is also one of these people at this point, more than likely. But it's really interesting reading people's reactions to Nana when they read it, like the certain types of characters that they have like wholesale hatred for, and then you have people like you and I that are like, well, we've been with this manga for a while, and if your perceptions do not change on certain characters, like what are you doing? But that's
Right.
just me.
Right.
personally.
And
You
like
know?
also I think that whenever we travel back in time, like culturally speaking, because of the way that the world is now comparatively to like the early 2000s, it's also really important to note that that lens is different.
Hmm.
Things that would fly then might not fly now.
No,
And
true.
so like it's like even rewatching Gilmore Girls today
I've
and
heard some stuff.
how fucking like insanely imperialistic and capitalistic it is. I still love it. Right? I know the lens. And
Yeah.
also like some of the word choices are things that are no words now, you know.
Oh,
Um
yeah, I had the same thing with How I Met Your Mother, like the misogyny and just
mhm.
like there are moments of even like transphobia, like but it was like 2005.
Well,
Is
and
that
like
what it was?
that's yeah, like yeah, it was I never watched it.
It's
I tried
okay.
once. I tried once.
It's my dumb show, Kirsten. It's my I don't
Okay,
know what
it's
the
all
right
right.
thing. I just want to watch this and watch these boys just do and be silly, and I want to watch
Hey, yeah,
Willow,
it's totally fair. I watch New
you know,
Girl. Like I get it. I have a lot of comfort shows though. And
right?
comfort shows are huge, right? Um, but like that's something like even in my other work that I do and working with people and stuff, you know, there's always a hard drive focus that we can't project backwards on history, right? And so like I guess that's just a caveat with going back in time and reading these stories is because we can't project backwards that way. And
Yeah.
um and like you know, I was really thinking about it the other night, and I'm like, this is also like some people are, who read Nana even then or now who will be introduced to it. You know, they're going to see the sapphic qualities of it,
God, I
and
hope so.
well, I'm actually on the fence about that particular part of it
Oh,
because
hmm.
I actually don't take it as sapphic. I take it as this is a genuine friendship.
Right.
I don't take their relationship sexually. I think that Nana fucks with Hachiko. You know what I mean?
Right,
Um,
right.
but like, and so like that's also a variable line, but that's also a line of interpretation.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I think that it's a valid one. I'm not saying it's invalid. I'm saying that the representation is there if you need it. But that's also has to do with the storytelling aspect that Ai Yazawa brings to the table.
I mean, that is very true because I know Travis is definitely like team Hachiko and Nana being like a couple and like fuck all the other men in this series. So I mean I get it and I'm like, oh no, I like them as just friend like hardcore friends. Like,
Right,
you
that
know.
love can't exist without it being sexualized,
Right.
right? And so I think
Hmm.
that that's something that we're going to end up touching on and discussing quite a bit as we reread this.
Oh
Um,
yeah. Yeah.
just because it is there, right? It is present. It is love.
Oh yeah, I mean for sure. I mean you take something kind of like Cardcaptor Sakura or even like the relationship between Rei and Minako in Sailor Moon, like there's more sexual tension just in those mangas between the female characters than I actually see from Nana and Hachiko.
Right,
It's
right.
different.
Right, it's yeah, that's the thing. I've always pictured it as like a genuine like loving friendship, right?
Mm,
Um And honestly, they wouldn't have the friendship that they have if it wasn't for the heteronormativity within the story.
right.
Like
Mm,
those other elements, they can't be taken out.
yeah. What did Nathan say when you told him you were going to do a podcast about it?
He was so excited. He was like,
Was
well,
he?
at first, like, okay, so like I didn't realize it was going to be an actual podcast at that point.
Okay.
I didn't realize that it was going to be like a standalone podcast until like yesterday.
Okay.
I thought it was going to be an episode. Okay. And so, like, I was telling him about this and we're talking about it. And then I'm like, we might need 3 episodes. And then I'm sitting there and he's just like, he's kind of like looking at me, like watching the hamster on a wheel in my brain. And then I'm like, maybe 5. We might need 5 episodes. Right. And so then I like sit down and I light a cigarette and I'm sitting there and I'm like, I don't think it could be done in 5 episodes, Nathan. And he's like, I don't think you could do it in 5 episodes, Kirsten.
No. No, because my brain had already planned it out. I'm like, we're gonna do it chapter by chapter. We're gonna go through the whole thing. I'd already made this plan, like, without even telling
Right?
you, because that's how my neurodivergent brain works. So,
Right? Well, no, and then after yesterday, when I was like, I realized that it was gonna be like a whole series. I haven't even told Nathan. I'm waiting. I'm waiting until like we actually have something put together. Like I want it to be like a few episodes in, and then I'm gonna be like here and like just slide it over. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Um, but then like my mind was reeling last night laying in bed, and I'm just like, and then we could just work backwards through her entire body of work. Like I'm just like fantasizing about like rereading everything and like sharing the wonder.
I mean, honestly, the only other one I've ever read is Parakiss, but I'd love to read, anything and everything else because Parakiss had a weird thing happen to me like a couple years ago where I don't know why it was Parakiss in particular that really sunk it into my head, but I really became painfully aware about Japanese culture and how
Mm,
the you gotta fucking study or die is so prevalent. And
mm.
yeah, it just and it didn't really slide home for me until I was rereading Paracus and I was like, "Oh my God." And then I started thinking about, literally any other manga I've ever read except for maybe like Inuyasha because that's a feudal story. There's less studying
Yeah.
slice of life. Well, it's not a slice of life.
It's not
It's
yeah, it's not a slice of life, but like it's I get what you're putting down.
yeah, yeah. So I just kind of went back through all my slice of life, even the magical girl stuff, and I was like, "Oh, it's there. It's been
It's
there."
always been there. It's always been there. And like the thing is it's not a culture that I've grown up in. It's not a culture like I know a lot of people that is
Mhm.
their culture that are from there. Like and
Right.
then I also know a lot of people who are like various Asian American, right? So
Hmm.
like but I will say it is always important to note because of cultural context. Japan is an imperialist country.
Right.
So like there are these factors to culture that are a part of that imperial indoctrination.
Hmm.
And I don't want to get too terribly in it because like I'm not an expert on that. Like that is not my hyper their culture is not my hyper focus, right? Their inner workings of their geopolitics is not my hyper focus. Um, but understanding that yes, this way of life and these standards of living and like you can even see this through various movies. I remember there is a movie, it's called Suicide Club, and you can see these aspects of that life in there as well. Um, and obviously, movies are always like hyper stimulated, especially when it comes to like shock horror. I don't even know what they're calling it these days, but that's what we called it back in the day.
Hmm.
Um, but you can see these aspects of life like that come through there as well because like this is their daily life, right?
Right.
And it's also like it's not a movie, it's not a theme park.
Yeah.
Which it it is that bridging of understanding that like this is the way that their emotions are. And like we can even see that in Nana, right? With like the hustle to go to college.
Hmm.
And we can see that like written into so many different things. Like you can even see it in the Persona game, uh Persona 5, Persona games, I guess let's just say plural. We can
Hmm.
see it there, Um high school is very prevalent. And it's
Yes.
very prevalent in a different nuance than it is in the States, for instance.
Yeah.
Or even than it is in European countries. Like, I don't know if you've watched like high school themed shows that are from Spanish speaking countries or Portuguese speaking countries, right? Because like you can also see how they depict high school. Like we depict high school very loftfully and like a party good time Greek system type style in the States.
Right.
Um, when like we know that that's not real life.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I think that these nuances and aspects of what is written into these manga actually holds more of a tone to what real life is for them.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. Um, I wonder how we kind of miss that when we go through. I mean, I don't know. You probably. I mean, maybe you didn't, but I for the longest time it never really it never really got into, focus for me until truthfully like last year. And then I was
Mm.
just like, oh, and then I had to really kind of sit and think about it. I don't even know why I had to, but I guess it was just sort of like a process of going back and looking at the way that a lot of people look at manga and anime and how we treat it with a Western um, viewpoint.
Right. Well, I mean, we have a Western brain. We don't have an Eastern mind. I was in Daiso last week and I overheard. It was really funny. I kind of chuckled, but I
Mm.
overheard the people working there. I was like the only person there because it was like midday weekday, right? And one of the people who was working there, like she just kind of chuckled and she's like, "Yeah, she's such a white lady," and I just fucking laughed. I was like, "Oh my god, I need to know. Like, I need to know. What are you critiquing right now?"
Right.
And the critique was actually that this individual said that they love the Japanese aesthetic.
Right.
And the critique there is that it is their culture.
Right.
It is not just an aesthetic, right?
Mhm.
And this is their way of life,
Yeah.
right? And it comes from somewhere. Like even if we look at Hello Kitty is propaganda.
Yeah.
It's not just an aesthetic.
Yeah.
It is infused into their culture. And so understanding those things, and I mean, I think that I had the lens for it when I was younger, but that's also because like I was politically radicalized at a very young age.
Hmm.
Um, but I would say that I've learned and grown more now, so I am very curious to know what that lens is going to look like this time around because it has been probably at least 5 years since I've read it.
Right. I
Like I
mean,
haven't reread it again in a long time.
yeah. The one of the things that I did notice on the reread um, was I think during the time that it was, being translated, we were starting to move away from the thing that we used to do in like the original translations of Sailor Moon and even like Peach Girl and Fujigi Yugi. The they would actually, like replace certain names that would be well known in Japan and they would
Oh
replace
yeah.
them with Western stuff. That stuff's
Hmm.
always cracked me up. Like
Right.
it's,
Right.
the Japanese girl talking
Well,
about,
I
you
mean, but
know.
also just having English names here, like for foreign
Yeah,
exchange students and the like not
yeah,
even foreign exchange students, but like first generation, things of that nature, they have English names.
yeah, yes,
Um,
exactly.
and like that's even a cultural thing that's like also a little bit different because I know that like some Hindu people, um, and like I'm not an expert on this yet again, not my culture, but I do know that some Hindu people have like their English name and then they have like their traditional name. And so
Right.
they like that's a variable difference because those traditional names they can't even be said properly
Mm,
with a non-speaking tongue, right?
mm-hmm,
So, um, that is very much a culturally fluid thing within how the states works, essentially.
mm-hmm.
It is fascinating, and for how long it's been going on, it's even more fascinating. But yeah, it very much was that time when it started switching over and
Yeah.
being more accurate and being like, no, you just need to fucking accept this.
Yeah, because in one section, that they're actually, I wrote it down, but we'll talk about it when we actually do chapter one.
Mhm.
But they mentioned a very popular Japanese supermodel. And then, a few pages later, Hachiko is talking to, Takashi, and she's like, I'm not like Fatal Attraction or anything. I'm not stalking you. And I'm like, Fatal Attraction, oh my God. Okay.
Which I would actually be really curious to go back and to like translate some of those and see what they were in Japanese to see if they were changed and edited because they probably were in some cases.
Yeah, I was wondering that too. I was like, so did she actually see Fatal Attraction, or is this a we gotta make the Westerners know what they're talking about
Hey, is
thing?
there a synonymous movie? Okay, I have to look this up now. Jesus. We could talk about this for literally ever, by the
Oh,
way.
I know. That's why I'm just like I'm over here like at some point I have to go make dinner and I'm
Yeah.
gonna break out that new pattern because I am making a wedding dress. Um,
Ooh.
for my friend Heather.
Ooh.
So,
Ooh. Oh, is
very
Heather getting married?
she is.
Oh,
So,
congratulations, Heather, wherever you are in the ether.
yeah, yeah, she's getting married to Larry, so one of Nate's friends.
Oh.
Yeah,
Interesting. Huh,
yeah,
that's adorable.
yeah,
I'm
it's
here for
great.
it.
Mm, We are too. It was so exciting when she was like, she said it to me earlier this year. She's like, something happened, and she showed me her engagement ring, and I'm like,
I love that.
me too.
Okay, well, I guess this is a good time to wrap it up then, because you do need to eat before it gets too late.
I do.
And we need to do things like we need to make an Instagram.
Oh, we want
Um,
to do that thing.
yeah. Yeah, why not?
Okay.
Um, but that way we can I don't like the tweets. I don't
Oh, I
like the
don't.
tweets.
No, I don't either. Twitter makes me irrationally angry.
Twitter is where conversations go to die.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, no, I was thinking at least an Instagram, right?
Okay. Uh,
Instagram's easy.
I mean,
Um,
it is. How we do the managing though, that's the
oh,
weird.
I can make it and we can co-manage it.
Oh, cool. Because I'm
Yeah.
like, I have.
I have others that are I have others that I share with people as well.
Oh, cool. Because I'm over here like, I got a DeviantArt to maintain too. I have so many accounts now.
Oh no, I have way too many as well. Like
Mm-hmm.
way too many. And now like since I'm relaunching my business, I'm like, okay, here we go. But that's why I'm like, no, just one Instagram. Like not all of the things Instagram is good. You know what I mean? Like Instagram is good.
Yeah.
And then like I'm a part of a bunch of Nana Facebook groups. And so I can find out if we can post in there as well.
Oh, that'll be super cool. I can also add, when we do the podcast thing, I can add it to my link tree on my regular
Yeah.
Instagram.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. So like there's those aspects. And so, it'll just be if we can use Nana podcast, like, we can just have that be its thing. Easy peasy, super
Yeah,
simple. But that way we can use hashtags and people can actually find out about it and find out what we're
true.
doing. And then we could just use like Ai Yazawa's art. You know what I mean? Like it just
Yes.
matriculates her art more. So like why not, right?
Right? Cool.
Um okay, my dear, go make some food. I'm going to hang out with my kid for a bit before I get back to this silly Disney game because it's my whole personality now.
Oh,
And
okay.
uh we'll
I'm
talk
good.
later.
Okay.